Hey everybody, what's going on? So, haven't done a video in a while, but the weather's real good, so we're gonna get into it. Today I'm gonna be talking about the GT Grade Carbon Elite bike and kind of comparing it to some of the differences from the older iteration GT Grade. I got this GT Grade. This is the older gen model. It was given to me free by GT as a frame only, and so I had spare mountain bike parts and had to buy like road bike tires to make this all work. So anyway, we're gonna go over this bike first. This is the most current iteration as of April 2025, the GT Carbon Grade Elite. I bought this bike actually last year. Haven't had a chance to ride it just because of the Pacific Northwest weather, all that stuff. But we're gonna go over the bike front to back. So I'm about roughly 5'7", 5'6" in that area. This is a size small frame. Because it's a small size frame, there's going to be some differences. First off, handlebar width. This is a 42 millimeter wide handlebar, so that's one of the differences. As for crankset, it is a 170 millimeter length crankset, or for crank arms anyway. So those are two primary differences that you'll get in sizes. At the large, I think the size large, and maybe I think even XL, like the handlebars like even wider, it's like a 44, 45, and then of course a full 175. But now let's go over the bike in full. So this bike is equipped with the Shimano GRX 400 group set. This is a this is a 2x10 drivetrain. So you get a front derailleur, you get basically the 4630 crankset or chainring combination up front, which is different than a compact that you find on a lot of road bikes. In back here, this is, let's see if we can find it just so everybody has a reference. But this is an 11 tooth 36. So I've enjoyed this. This is also a clutch derailleur, Shimano GRX clutch derailleur. Typically, GT offers their top of line grade with the one by up front. I prefer, because road cycling, there's a decent amount, and for a gravel bike, you're on the road, it kind of sucks to top out at a certain speed. This gives you the ability to go faster than what you get on a one bike. I've climbed on this bike on some of Seattle's steepest streets, and it does pretty well. It does better than a road bike. It's a very dignified climber, definitely not as fast compared to a tarmac or asphalt dedicated criterium road bike, but it is easier to climb. It's just not as fast. So that may make some sense, may not. But anyway, up here it has a nice molded chainstay protector, which I actually like, because I've gone mountain biking on this, done some light mountain biking on this bike. It does pretty well with the tires that it has. So anyway, up front here, when I bought this from GT, you have to do your own bar wrap. I didn't do that great of a job because as a mountain biker, I don't have a lot of that bar tape repetition, so there's that. Not the greatest, but whatever. And then here I had some spare custom caps, bar end plugs for a road bike, so I threw those on, and they're right here. Up here I got the the Paul Components dropper trigger for 31.8. This is specifically for road bike, or for road bike setups or drop bar setups. And the giveaway, the tell is the clamp size 31.8 versus usually 22.2 for a mountain bike or a flat bar. And then the routing here, as you can tell, like for the cable, points directly down. If we look at a Paul Components dedicated dropper trigger for a mountain bike, or even in this case like a kind of a hybrid, it comes out this way. and this is a smaller clamp diameter that you can put obviously closer to your brake lever, and this is a 22.2. So here the bike's weight and total is roughly I want to say, when I put it on the fish scale with everything, because it is still running tubes and they did swap out the rigid seat post for a dropper, it's in the ballpark of about, I want to say, 21 pounds. So no, it's decent, but it's a really comfortable bike. So, and then here there's a lot of places to install water bottle mounts. You have this set up. It's like this on both ends, or on both sides of the fork. Same here and here, and I think even underneath. Yeah, so you can really attach water balls or racks or what have you. And then in addition, it has an add-on seat stay bridge if you're gonna attach a what's it called, a bike rack. Sorry, I'm a little bit slow on the road bike stuff. It's not my primary type of bike discipline that I do. So anyway, it comes with 2-piston Shimano GRX brakes up here. These are 160 front and 160 rear center lock rotors. Up front, this is a 12x100 hub, and in back it's a 12x142 rear hub. So magical with that chime. And then back here, you can it's running the WTB 40mm wide Volpine tires. I'm gonna put some slicks on. I'm actually moving these tires onto this bike because I'm gonna be doing a decent amount of road cycling training, because I'm gonna take this bike on its first ever Seattle to Portland bike ride. Cascade Bicycle Club has an organized ride called the Cascade, or the Seattle to Portland. You have the option of riding your bike from Seattle, Washington to Portland, Oregon in a day or 2 days. I usually do it in a day. That's roughly about a 12 to 15 hour commitment, depends, but I've done it for a few years now. Another thing I've done here is I put in an externally routed PNW dropper. This is not the coast dropper that has the suspension in it, but this is a 90mm adjustable, this has 90mm of travel adjust here, and it's externally routed. The way this bike works internally routed though is kind of neat. It goes, if we're starting from here, the rear derailleur exits here, the rear brake exits here, and the front derailleur, let's see if I can spot it. It's kind of dark because of the paint, but it's up here, up where my fingertip is. So that's how that routes. Up front for the fork, it goes in this way and it exits out that way. Tries to give it a real clean look. I don't know how any bike mechanics or DIY people feel about that, but I guess it is what it is. So these are basic formula hubs. There's no levers here. You do just need Allen or hex keys to undo both axles if you need to. This is a tapered fork. This is also carbon fiber material fork and frame. For the tapered, it does run an FSA headset. Seat post diameter is at 27.2. I am planning to just keep the dork disc on for the time being, and also I'm keeping reflectors, and I'm gonna keep continually using flat pedals. Just my thing. Another cool part is this is a threaded bottom bracket here. I forget what the BSA is here. I forget if it's a 73 or 68, but you know, it makes for a quieter frame. It's a really nice tight ride. It's a really compliant ride. So oh yeah, and then back here it's running the WTB STI 23s. You can find them on a lot of budget mountain bikes, these rims, and you know, they put them on the grade here. The widest tire I think you can put here is maybe you can get away, I don't think you can get away with more than like I want to say safely, if this is a 40, maybe a 42. I don't know about a 45, to be honest, because you have to account for flex. Compared to the older generation grade, the widest you could put here, just because it is a 9mm quick release versus a through axle, so you don't have as much width, is a 30. So this is a 30mm rear tire. I tried a 32 and that didn't work out. I don't know if I have it on, but anyway, what happened is the wheel was flexing, and it's a really tight space. I can't even put that same finger that I put through the grade between the tires. I can't even do here. Here there's plenty of space, but the limiting factor is actually the you'll have a lot of space up here in a way, more than down here. But here, this comes to show you how much space. It's really tight here. I tried running a 32 millimeter wide tire, and it was too wide for it, because if the wheel's barely out of true, or if there's any flex in the wheel, it will rub against this frame. And I don't know if I can show you where that was happening, but yeah, it's in there. I'd have to take off the wheel to show you, but it was rubbing against the frame pretty bad. Lesson learned. Then so I basically moved that back tire up front, and then had to buy a 30mm wide tire because that's the max on it. But there are some changes. I think the ride compliance on both frames is actually pretty good. Like, I don't think it's necessarily noticeably different. You know, this bike rides pretty well in general. Not as it's not really stiff. I don't think if you wanted to do crit races, this is your ideal bike. If you're planning to do long distance, I want to say randomoring, or if you want to do Seattle to Portland, or if you want to do gravel rides, this is going to be a great bike. This is a fantastic bike. I love the ride quality. I'll in this future video, I'll do a ride along and show you how well the bike rides. I took it on a jump line, which is kind of funny, and then I took it on I did some mountain biking. Interestingly enough, a size small on this bike, you know, GT decided to go with just letters S for small. This is a size 53 bike. The funny part is this bike is definitely taller than that. So let me see if I can move them close together just to show you. And then we'll do side by side. The difficulties of being a one-person camera crew. You're the host and whatever. I don't know if you can tell, but this bike's actually taller, and I think how you can see, like, let me see if I can bring them closer. So this is a 53mm, which is pretty tall for me, but I can fit it. But if you look, like, so my hand is here. This is the width of my hand, right? If I run it, like, you know, I'm too darn, maybe that's not the greatest indicator, but it's taller by 2 finger widths. So like, it looks a little taller than that because the grade slopes a bit. But yeah, this is a noticeably taller bike, the old version anyway. This is the the seat stays are more or less about the same. Of course, it's connected. This is attached here, this isn't, so to the top, or to the seat tube. So there's differences in that, but the ride quality between the two is like pretty similar. I don't think, if I was blindfolded, I could tell honestly the difference between the two. I think the nice part for the new gen versus this gen, or the older generation, is number one, it's a consistent through axle, so it's easier to find wheel sets. When you have a 15x100 and a quick release, it's really hard to find it. But guess what? You can find them in mountain bike. So it's basically like mountain bike wheels on the older gen grade, whereas This you can actually find better. You can actually find like a wheel set that works, that's more available. The quick release always throws it off whenever you have a through axle, because most times for this older gen grade, it's hard to find a combination. So fortunately FSA does have a kit, a conversion kit. So with their wheels and their hubs, you can swap out like the 9mm quick release for through axle, vice versa. So if I want to sort of wheel sit on this bike, I could, or on the current grade I can, but you know, that sort of compatibility is kind of about different. And yeah, and I noticed too that, I don't know if you can tell, even the bottom bracket shell here is different than the grade. The grade, they just committed to a nice typical standard BSA, I think 68, 73 kind of style bottom bracket shell, as opposed to this, I forget what it is, but there was an adapter that had to get installed here, and that was really the big difference between drivetrains. But they both work fine. They both ride really well. So if you're shopping for a GT grade carbon bike, just keep in mind that I think if I had to do this over again, a 51, if you're about 5'6", 5'7", with like, you have a shorter torso, longer legs, and average length arms, or average length arms, you know, you can get away with a 53, but do a 51. I think then the 51 will be closer to a size small. So that is it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm more than happy to answer them. So now that I've compared both bikes, I was going to convert this bike to a drop bar, but gave up on the idea because honestly, at the price that GT was selling their current grade, you know, which is like a fire sale, it was like over 50% off. You know, trying to convert this older GT bike would have cost about the same, if not more. So that's why I ended up buying this bike. And the other reason I bought this GT grade is it runs disc brake. My Lightspeed Sienna that I've been on has rim brakes. Only problem is when you're in the Pacific Northwest and you're doing like a lot of descending on hills, the rim brakes can get hot, a little too hot for comfort. So then you have to stop, let your wheels cool, literally your wheels cool down, because they are rim brake, and then go again. Disc brake, you can definitely ride a little more, you can feel a lot more safer while you're descending on long hills. I know the Tour de France guys, they back in the day, they were descending on rim brakes, and you know, it was typically fine for them. But for me, I'm a heavier set dude, and so there's a lot more braking mass force involved. So, but these brakes do very well. The GRX 400 group set is fantastic for a road bike, or I mean a gravel bike configuration. And I don't think after I think I've gotten everything that I wanted out of this bike. I did change out the seat. I forget it had a fabric saddle, I think. Either way, it was a little too narrow for me, so I got an SQ Lab 611 saddle that is 140, or no, it's 150 millimeters, or they're 15 centimeter wide saddle. My sit bones is 142, but talking to SQ Labs, they said you can actually round up, and there's no problem with going with a 150. And best decision ever. I like the feel of these saddles, especially if I'm going to be on this saddle for Seattle to Portland for, you know, hours on end. And the thing I like about the SQ Lab saddles is it's a little bit raised in the back, and it takes a great deal of pressure off of your ass here, so, in your back. And it's a lot more comfortable for long distances, in my opinion. I definitely love the SQ Labs 611 and 612 saddles. They're super comfortable for long distance rides. Like if you're going to be doing in the saddle for more than 4 or 5 hours, mountain biking or road cycling, I think that's great. Even the weight penalty, it's not too significant, you know. I mean, I got a lot of weight to lose even on my own body, so it's, you know, a few grams difference, right? So if you have any, that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm more than happy to answer for you. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna review, next up I think I'm gonna review my kid's Diamondback mountain bike. It's a 24-inch mountain bike made for, you know, somebody who's about like 10 or 12 years old. That isn't very tall. So stay tuned for that. Then I'm gonna do a review on some equipment like bike stands and stuff. I got a new Amazon bike stand on for Christmas. Kind of flimsy, but it works. Has its flaws, so stay tuned for that. I'm gonna put out more videos now that the weather's real good. And thanks for watching. I will see you again next time. Bye.